Hare Krishna, dear devotees, my humble obeisances to you all glories to Srila Prabhupada. Thank you so much for joining His Holiness Candramauli Swami Maharaj's daily class. Today we are continuing with our Srimad Bhagavatam study of second canto, 7th chapter and verse number 15. Hare Krishna Maharaj, my humble obeisances to you, all glories to Srila Prabhupada. Thank you so much for your time and association for all of us. You can please take over. Hare Krishna.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Anta Sarasuru Balena Padagrihitam. Grahena Yuktam Patir Ambujam Hasta Artaha. Ahedam Adi Purusakila Lokanatam Tirta Shravana Mangala Namadeya. Translation: the leader of the elephants, whose leg was attacked in a river by a crocodile of superior strength, was much aggrieved. Taking a lotus flower in his trunk, he addressed the Lord, saying, O original enjoyer, Lord of the universe, O deliverer, as famous as a place of pilgrimage, all are purified simply by hearing your holy name, which is worthy to be chanted. Okay. Let me see here. Purport. The history of delivering the leader of the elements, whose leg was attacked in the river by a superior strength of a crocodile, is described in the 8th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam. Since the Lord is absolute knowledge, there is no difference between his holy name and the personality of Godhead. The leader of the elephant was much distressed when he was attacked by the crocodile. Although the elephant was always stronger than the crocodile, the latter is stronger than the elephant when it's in its water. When it's in the water. And because the elephant was a great devotee of the Lord in a previous birth, he was able to chant the holy name of the Lord by dint of his past good deeds. Every living entity is always distressed in the material world because this place is such that every step one has to meet some kind of distress. But one who is supported by his past good deeds engages himself in devotional service of the Lord, as confirmed in the Bhagavad Gita 7:16. Those who are supported by impious acts cannot be engaged in devotional service of the Lord, even though they are distressed. This is also confirmed in the Bhagavad Gita 7:15. The personality of Godhead, Hari, appeared at once on the back of his eternal bearer, Garuda, and delivered the elephant. The elephant was conscious of his relationship with the Supreme Lord. He addressed the Lord as Adipurush, or the original enjoyer. Both the Lord and living beings are conscious and are therefore enjoyers. But the Lord is the original enjoyer because he is the creator of everything. In a family, both the father and the sons are undoubtedly enjoyers, but the father is the original enjoyer, and the sons are subsequent enjoyers. A pure devotee knows well that everything in the universe is the property of the Lord, and that a living entity can enjoy a thing as ordained by the Lord. A living being cannot even touch a thing which is not allotted to him. This idea of the original enjoyer is explained very nicely in the Upanishad and in the Ishopanishad. One who knows the difference between the Lord and himself never accepts anything without first offering it to the Lord. The elephant addressed the Lord as Akila Lokanath, or the Lord of the universe, who is therefore the Lord of the elephant also. The elephant, being a pure devotee of the Lord, specifically deserved to be saved from the attack of the crocodile. And because it is a promise of the Lord that the devotee will never be vanquished, it was quite befitting that the elephant called upon the Lord to protect him, and the merciful Lord at once responded. The Lord is the protector of everyone, but he is the first protector of one who acknowledges the superiority of the Lord instead of being so falsely proud as to deny the superiority of the Lord or to claim to be equal to him. He is ever superior. A pure devotee of the Lord knows the difference between the Lord and himself. Therefore, a pure devotee is given first preference because of his full dependence. Whereas a person who does not denies the existence of the Lord and declares himself the Lord is called Asura. And as such, he is given protection by the strength of limited power, subject to the sanction of the Lord. Since the Lord is superior to everyone, his perfection is also superior. No one can imagine it. The elephant addressed the Lord as Tirtha Shrava, or as famous as a place of pilgrimage. People go to places of pilgrimage in order to be delivered from the reactions of unknown sinful acts. But one can be freed from all sinful reactions simply by remembering his holy name. The Lord is therefore as good as the holy places of pilgrimage. One can be freed from all sinful reactions after reaching a place of pilgrimage, but one can have the same benefit at home or at any place simply by chanting of the holy name of the Lord. For a pure devotee, there is no need to go to holy places of pilgrimage. He can be delivered from all sinful activities simply by remembering the Lord in earnestness. A pure devotee of the Lord never commits any sinful acts, but because the whole world is full of sinful atmosphere, even a pure devotee may commit a sin unconsciously as a matter of course. One who commits sinful acts consciously cannot be worthy of being a devotee of the Lord. But a pure devotee who unconsciously does something sinful is certainly delivered by the Lord because a pure devotee remembers the Lord always. The Lord's holy name is called Shravana Mangala. This means that one receives everything auspicious simply by hearing the holy name. In another place in Srimad Bhagavatam, his holy name is described as Punya Shravana Kirtana. It is a pious act simply to chant and hear all about the Lord. The Lord descends to this earth and acts like others in connection with the activities of the world, just to create subject matters for hearing about him. Otherwise, the Lord has nothing to do in this world, nor has he any obligation to do anything. He comes out of his own causeless mercy and acts as he desires. The Vedas and the Puranas are full of descriptions of his different activities, so that people in general may naturally be eager to hear and read something about his activities. Generally, however, the modern fictions and novels of the world occupy a greater part of people's valuable time. Such literatures cannot do good to anyone. On the contrary, they agitate the young mind, unnecessarily increase the modes of passion and ignorance, leading to increased bondage to the material conditions. The same aptitude for hearing and reading is better utilized in hearing and reading the Lord's activities. This will give one all-around benefit. It is concluded, therefore, that the holy name of the Lord and topics in relationship with the Lord are always worth hearing, and therefore he is called here in this verse Namadeha, or one whose holy name is worth chanting. Om Gyan Timirandasya Gena Jana Salakaya Chaksun Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobhistam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Upakadam Mayam Dadati Swapadati Kam Namo Vishnupadaya Krishna Prestaya Bhutale Srimakte Bhakti Vedanta Swami Tinamine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvisesa Sunyavari Paschathyare Satarine Vanchakalpatarubhischa Kripa Sindhuve Vachapatitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namaho Namaha Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Sivasari Gaur Bhaktivinoda Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. So we see here an elephant is a pure devotee. There's many examples throughout the Shastras of how the living entities in other bodies other than human, even below the human species, we have the example of Jatayu. He was a vulture. We have Hanuman. He was a half monkey. We have others who also appeared, who are jivas in lesser bodies, but are also devotees of the Lord. So it's not that devotional service is relegated only to the human species and higher, even the lower animals. Lord Chaitanya delivered a dog. That dog went back to God. In fact, he delivered 2 dogs. And they also returned back to the spiritual world. So one who engages in devotional service, no matter what body they're in, will also achieve the connection with the Lord and therefore the mercy of the Lord. This elephant, Gajendra, in his previous life, he was a great devotee. Now he comes sporting with his female elephants into this place in the heavenly planets where he is enjoying. Elephants are inclined to sex life. That's one of their features. And so he was enjoying with other female elephants. But then all of a sudden, something happened. There was a crocodile. And the crocodile saw the elephant and took the opportunity to attack the elephant. Because crocodiles are sometimes predators or vicious, they also attack. So this crocodile also was Haya in his previous birth, and he was cursed to become a crocodile. So it's interesting, because to take part in Krishna's pastimes, or in any of the Lord's pastimes, one has to have some spiritual merit. And this crocodile also was a devotee in a previous life. Here it's interesting to note how the elephant, although more powerful, much more powerful than the crocodile, was overcome by the crocodile. Why is that? Because the crocodile was in its element, the water. The elephant's a land animal. He was out of his element. So sometimes we understand in our practice of devotional service that there are different ashrams by which one can execute devotional service. And it says that one should be situated in that ashram which is most conducive to one's development in devotional service. That way one can fight with complete strength to overcome the attacks and the difficulties that come by way of the material energy. The elephant was out of its element. The crocodile was in its element. Although the crocodile was weaker, still the elephant could not free himself from the grasp of the crocodile. And another thing that is also mentioned, that Krishna came and took his chakra and killed that crocodile. Now, one of the benefits that the crocodile got, besides being killed, he grabbed the leg of a devotee. So the feet of a devotee also is a holy place. And therefore, he was holding on to the feet of the devotee, and therefore, in one sense, he was getting the mercy. Although he was in a wrong attitude, that is, attacker, still, because he was an animal, he was acting according to his natural proclivities, his nature. So this particular pastime is very instructive, especially that one should fight Maya in that ashram, which is most conducive. Sometimes devotees who are brahmacharis and they're not sure whether they can continue to execute their devotional service in that ashram, consider whether they should change to another ashram. But many times, the motivation or the reasoning for changing may not always be devotional service. It may be a desire to have greater facilities for sense gratification or to fulfill some material desire. But this pastime is illustrative of that point, that one should execute their devotional service in that ashram, which is most natural for them to fight Maya. Sometimes we see people don't know. Therefore, one should approach the spiritual master in a humble way and get guidance and advice on how best to make progress in devotional service. Sometimes we see people who are in Grihastha ashram who are not suited for that ashram also. For example, I had a personal experience where one lady who I had known because I had met her in my travels and preaching. She was coming to my classes. Now I was in Vrindavan. She was also came to me and she wanted to speak and she wanted to explain how she is married, but she has really not much of a relationship with her husband because her husband is more interested in studying philosophy all day, reading, writing, and composing various types of articles and books. He's not interested in her. But he got married anyway. So she was asking advice, how do I make this marriage work? After explaining the situation, I could see them by her explanation that this person that she married was not inclined to that ashram. Although he went into it, and obviously his motivation was not the motivation of developing a family, but to have a female partner where a female partner can do so many things to help him in his own service as a writer, as a preacher. But he didn't consider his role as as a husband. So, of course, what could you say in that situation without dealing with both of them? So I just wished her well and told her to try to develop accordingly. She met me again about 3 or 4 months later, also in Vrindavan, and I inquired how was the relationship. She said, "It's over." So this was an example to me, and it's also an example for all of us that sometimes people enter into an ashram and they're not suited for that ashram, or they don't take on the responsibilities because each of the ashrams has a responsibility with it, along with the activities of devotional service. They're called the rules and regulations or requirements of that ashram, particularly in the Grihastha ashram where there are other persons who are involved. Therefore, a responsibility becomes a great need in order for the ashram to develop nicely. And we see the others, sometimes people who are in brahmachari ashram, they are not suited for that ashram, although they may stay in it and try to develop. But we can see after a period of time, they don't really adapt or adopt to the mood of brahmachari nor to the activities of brahmachari. So this particular pastime is very indicative that one should fight in according to one's proclivities. Of course, one may be outside of one's proclivity and still be successful if they learn the art in that ashram, but that may take time. So this is a very important part. Here, the Lord is given a lot of emphasis here as the personality who is all auspicious. The elephant was in trouble. The elephant didn't know what to do. He was struggling, but he prayed to the Lord. And when he prayed to the Lord, he remembered some of his activities in his previous life as a devotee. It's also understood that elephants have good memories. They don't forget. If you meet an elephant, you have an exchange with it, that elephant will remember you throughout the whole life. So yeah, he remembered simply by offering his prayer, and then the Lord came because his prayer was sincere. He was helpless. So it's also understood that here we are in the material world, and we are trying to develop our devotional service, but there are many, many obstacles, difficulties, reverses that come by way of just living in the material world. We don't try for them, they come. There is a nice verse that's explained in the first canto, 5th chapter of the Srimad Bhagavatam. Tasyaivo hetu pradite na kovito, na labhyate tad upramatarayada, na labhyate tad ukara anya sukam, kalena sarvatra gambira ramhasa. So this verse describes 2 points. And one of the points is that no one tries for misery, but misery comes automatically. No one, therefore, the verse says one should not try for material happiness either, because material happiness will come automatically. So we don't see that other side. We know misery comes automatically, but we think we have to endeavor for material happiness in this world. But that is actually a fallacy, because even activities that are meant to lead to some kind of material success may also bring about unhappiness, and situations that cause difficulty in this world may turn out to be something that is pleasant and auspicious, at least from the material point of view. So this verse is very fundamental to teach devotees why waste time trying to increase the quality of your material life. Simply engage in devotional service. During the retreat, we came across that verse, which is the second verse in the Manashiksha that we were discussing, that Raghunath Das Goswami says, don't engage in pious or impious activities. Why not engage in pious activities when they're beneficial? Because they're instilled within the modes of material energy. Better to engage fully in devotional service, and all the benefits that pious activities may also gain or give may also be included in one's execution of devotional service. Well, there's no need to do anything but devotional service. Everything else will follow automatically. whatever is needed to elevate one's consciousness to the spiritual platform. Here also it's mentioned that devotees take pleasure in chanting the holy name. The elephant was crying out because he was the devotee in his previous birth. He was able to chant the holy names of the Lord. To chant the holy name of the Lord means to be situated in pure devotional service, in the sense that the holy name is Krishna himself. Nama Chintamani Krishnas Chaitanya Rasa Vigraha Punya Sudya Nitya Mukta Bina Tvam Nami Nami No. The Krishna's name is Krishna. It's not 95% Krishna. It's 99.9.9% Krishna. It is fully the absolute truth in transcendental sound. One who understands that and chants accordingly will also be able to purify their consciousness. Sometimes people criticize us. They say, well, why are you just chanting? Why don't you do something that is beneficial or practical and gain something from that? You're wasting time just chanting. But actually, chanting is the highest form of spiritual activity, and it is transcendental, or what we say, it relegates the material energy to a lower situation. In other words, material energy cannot touch those who chant the holy names of the Lord. We want to be free from the effects of the material energy. Therefore, the chanting is the easiest and most direct way, like that. And therefore, when devotees come together, they don't come together simply to speak about something that is of the worldly nature. They come together to chant, to dance, to take prasadam, to hear, discuss philosophical teachings about the nature of the Lord, about the process of devotional service. All activities which are beneficial for one's development of their eternal relationship with Krishna, which gives both pleasure and satisfaction to the devotee. I was asked the question, how do we know when we are satisfied? Well, how do we know when the Lord is satisfied by our activities? Well, Prabhupada immediately answered that you are satisfied. You are never separated from the Lord. Sometimes we think I'm separated from Krishna. You can't be. It's not possible. You can be unaware of your connection, and that is called Maya or illusion, but the separation is never there. We are eternally connected with Krishna, although we may not be aware of it. And that unawareness is called Maya or illusion. Therefore, when we chant, we bring back the reality of that relationship, and we can actually experience the presence of the Lord through the chanting of the holy name, because his holy name is, and we see here, Gajendra, he, what could he do? The crocodile was very powerful, and he had grabbed his leg. The elephant was crying in pain, and he couldn't free himself from the crocodile. He simply just cried out for the Lord. Sometimes we see that people or living entities who get themselves into difficult situations, they remember the Lord. And when they remember the Lord, the difficult situation becomes, what we say, destroyed or removed. But we should also remember that being in the material world is an anomaly. The living entity is not meant to live in this material world. Therefore, to remember the Lord always is the antidote for pushing back the effects of material energy. To think that we have to remember the Lord only when we are in trouble, we don't realize that we are always in trouble. At any moment, we could be destroyed in a second simply by an earthquake. I was sitting in my house in Croatia, This was in the year 2020. This was just prior to the start of the pandemic. This was in March of that same year. I remember the date was March 16th, 2020. I was chanting japa, and the whole building started to shake. And then pictures were flying off the walls and smashing. And then also the whole room was shaking. And then someone who was downstairs, I was in the upstairs part, said, Maharaj, let's go. It's an earthquake. So you don't stay in the building if you can get out. If you can't get out of a building in an earthquake, always stand in the doorway. The doorway seems to be the safest place during an earthquake if you can't get out of the building. But the idea is to get out. So we did. And we were freed from the effects. And the earthquake was quite severe. Many people, not many, but some people died in the area. And my wall was cracked and other places were severely damaged. So I'm sitting there, I'm chanting japa, and all of a sudden there's an earthquake. So this just gives you a little indication that padam padanya vi padam. This material world, there's danger at every step. All of a sudden, if one opposing army wants to attack another country, all of a sudden the bombs are raining down, and all of a sudden the whole thing is changed. So this is a material world. We're walking on the street. Sometimes we're a little inattentive. We could slip, fall, and that could be the last activity we perform. So remember the Lord always. That is the feature of bhakti, and that is the instructions given by the acharyas. Don't forget him. That way you stay connected with him, and at the same time you're always protected from the dangers and the difficulties that come by way of living in this world, along with always being in the best position to understand how to execute my activities in this material world. By remembering the Lord, you're remembering Krishna within your heart, and the Lord is dictating, oh, you want to do this? This is how you do it. Oh, you wanted to go here? Don't you remember? So Krishna also reminds the devotees what they want to do if they remember him. Sometimes we even forget what we want to do. This is a feature of old age. Sometimes people suffer from memory problems as they get older. Sometimes you're doing something, and all of a sudden you want to do something, but then at one point you can't remember what you want to do. You get an idea, you want to write it down, you go looking for a pen, you find a pen and paper, and then you can't remember what you want to write down. As soon as you remember the Lord, everything becomes clear, even from the material perspective. But that's not the main reason. So, satam prasangam mamavirya samvido bhavanti ritkarna rasayana kata najosina tatvararpani ratir bhaktir anukramisyati. That in the association of devotees, hearing and chanting the name, fame, form, glories, pastimes, activities of the Lord gives pleasure, ritkarna, to the ear and to the heart, both to the ear and to the heart. And then, as the verse explains, then bhakti actually begins. When we begin, bhakti actually begins, when we talk about bhakti, it begins when we take up glorification of the Lord as the feature of our devotional life. Okay, so we can learn a lot from this pastime, especially the importance of remembering the Lord always, and at the same time working in such a way that we are situated in the best situation for our progress in devotional service. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Maharaj. Thank you so much. Such a wonderful class about Gajendra's pastime. Thank you so much. Dear devotees, please turn on your cameras if possible and raise your hands if you have any questions. So I already see 2 raised hands. Amritram Mataji, please go ahead.
Hare Krishna Guru Maharaj, please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. So you mentioned that Krishna is never away from us. It is just the illusion, due to illusion, we feel that.
Forgetfulness.
And yes, forgetfulness. But we have also heard about the bhakti, the Vikralamba Bhav. So we do bhakti in the mood of separation. So how do we relate this? I know this is big topic, but a basic overview that can help understand.
It's not contrary. The mood of separation is also an element of devotional service, or a stage of bhakti also, where one is hankering for the association of the Lord, but feeling separation from the Lord at the same time. That is called, in Sanskrit, it's called vipralamba, or serving the Lord in separation. But the Lord is always with you, although just like it says that the residents of Vrindavan, Krishna never leaves Vrindavan. But then again, you hear the pastimes where Krishna did leave Vrindavan, and he went to Mathura, and then of course, he had some business to kill Kamsa and reestablish Ugrasena on the throne. But he left, and the gopis, the cowherd boys, his parents, everyone were feeling tremendous separation. But then again, the Shastra says he never leaves Vrindavan. So where is he? He's in the hearts of his devotees. He's there fully present in their hearts, and they're feeling his presence in the mood of separation. When you long for someone, you also think of that person, and by that thought and that longing, that you actually experience the presence of that person. So that is bhakti in the mood of separation. Vipralamba Bhav.
Thank you, Maharaj.
Is that clear?
Yes, it is. It's the mood of separation. But Krishna is always there.
Krishna is always there. Yeah. Radharani is the pinnacle, or you might say the epitome of that mood. There was a story where Radharani and Krishna were sitting side by side, and there was a bee flying around and was bothering Radharani. So bee is called Madhu. That's what a bee is called, Madhu. So Madhu Mangal, he happened to come by and he saw that the bee was bothering Radharani. So he chased the bee away. And then he said to Radharani, Madhu is gone, referring to the bee. But Madhu is also a name of Krishna. Honey-like. So when she heard that, she started to become anxious. Oh, Krishna's gone. But he wasn't. It was right next to her. But she entered into that mood of separation when she heard that Madhu was gone. But he was right there. But that's Radharani. She shows you actually from her own bhakti how deep her love for Krishna is, that even in the indication that Krishna is not there, she enters into that mood of separation, even if he's still there.
Yes, Kumash. But this is like theoretically understanding. Yes, we are far away from this mood, but
But
yes,
you can serve Krishna in that mood.
yes,
And that is the mood of that is taught by Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. We should serve in a mood of hankering that Krishna will come and accept my service. Please, Krishna, come and accept my service. And if he comes, there is an experience of his coming and accepting. And when he does, then there is the happiness of sambhog or meeting. But then Krishna is who he is, then he leaves again. And then that mood of separation returns. So
yes,
that is
Maharaj.
the mood of Lord Chaitanya. Serve Krishna with a desire to meet Krishna, or with a desire to have Krishna come and accept your service. We can't demand that Krishna will come, but if the service is done with so much love and devotion, then Krishna will automatically come and accept that service.
Yes, Maharaj.
Then the devotee becomes happy.
So we do have such kind of glimpse when devotees do the devotional service. They have the glimpse of presence of Krishna in their service. So they feel the reciprocation.
Yeah.
And yes, go ahead. And I also feel that when there are beautiful darshan of Radha and Krishna in the temple, and sometimes I feel that they are so amazingly beautiful in just this form. I always wonder how Krishna would he would be when he's so beautiful in this world. So
Yeah. There are pastimes to illustrate that also. That his beauty is so overwhelming that one will lose consciousness.
yeah.
There are many pastimes like that.
So that is also the Vipramba Bhav, Guru Maharaj, when we see the beauty of Krishna on the altar, and we feel that how beautiful he must actually be.
Yeah, that's a nice meditation. And then if you continue in that mood, you'll see that his beauty may enhance right in front of your eyes. If you're in the right mood, that is, the mood of bhakti.
Thank you, Guru Maharaj.
Thank you, Maharaj. Thank you so much. Sridevi Mataji, please go ahead.
Thank you. Dear Guru Maharaj, please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. It's so wonderful to see all you and all the devotees again. So my humble obeisances to all of you. Thank you so much for your wonderful association and your mercy, Guru Maharaj. This past time, I was thinking that both Gajendra and Haya have taken animal bodies. Now, anyone who does devotional service, even if they fall away, Krishna says, Suchinam Srimatam Gehe Yogo Brashto Abhijayate. They in fact get a better birth. So why is it that I know they were cursed, but how is it that that curse was so powerful that they took animal bodies? I would like to know that.
One of these questions where you're applying the ordinary onto the spiritual and saying, how is the spiritual like that when ordinarily it's not like that? So yeah, there are, what was it? We also have the example of Bart Maharaj. He took the birth as a deer. But he was conscious of his birth in the previous life, and therefore he didn't act like a deer, although he was in a deer's body. So if you fall in love with your dog, even though you're a devotee, you might remember your dog at the last moment. And then what happens? You'll become a dog in the house of a devotee in your next life. Yeah. People fall in love with even devotees. I remember one devotee I won't mention. She used to keep a dog in her room all the time. She was living in the temple too. She was the temple commander, so she had some seniority within the ashram, and so she used it. But eventually that was changed. But for a long time, so we get attached to an animal, and we may also wind up taking one birth in that animal body. So yeah, it's possible.
Yes, Guru Maharaj. I understand the gravity of the situation and how careful one must be in spiritual life. Thank you so much.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you. Shivakumar Prabhu, please go.
Thank you. Hare Krishna Maharaj and our plans. Please accept my humble obeisances to your lotus feet. Maharaj, one question from today's class, Maharaj. There are some difficulties and challenges, and I'm not able to differentiate whether that challenge is something that I have to get over as part of the spiritual life itself, or is it something that I have to get help from Krishna so that I can better focus on my sadhana itself, Maharaj? So I just wanted to hear from you.
Just asking, why do challenges come?
No, Maharaj, some challenge is there. I am not sure whether that challenge I have to get over that and not look for a solution from Krishna, or I have to get help so that I can be better situated in sadhana. So that difference, I'm not able to make it, Maharaj.
Well, you have to discriminate between what is favorable and what is unfavorable. That you have to know. That's one of the qualifications of practicing bhakti successfully, knowing what is favorable for devotional service and what is unfavorable. If certain challenges are unfavorable, they may simply be material, and others may also be beneficial for one's spiritual advancement. So you have to understand. So that understanding may come also by guidance, but a devotee will see challenges as opportunities to remember Krishna. At least you can always remember Krishna, to call out to Krishna, to become more attached to Krishna. These are what we say results of accepting challenges as opportunities for spiritual progress. But that takes a little bit of reflection, introspection, understanding, and also knowledge of the scriptures too. Certain things may just be outright Maya that you have to avoid. And other things may be things that you need to accept, work with, and then benefit from that. There's an absolute principle there. But there is an absolute understanding, is that whatever comes the devotee way, they accept it as opportunities to remember Krishna, to become more Krishna conscious. Prabhupada was in his quarters during World War II in Calcutta, and the bombs were coming into the area. And Prabhupada was seeing, he explains it, that he was seeing the bombs as being Krishna coming in the form of a bomb. So we may not be able to always understand it in that way, but that's the vision of a pure devotee. Seeing even the most difficult situations as coming from Krishna for one's spiritual upliftment, spiritual development, remembering Krishna, praying to Krishna, calling out for Krishna. Or even if ordinary challenges come, to reflect on how I can accept this challenge and turn it into something beneficial. And the devotee is reflective, introspective, not reactive. If we react to every situation, we might find ourselves getting more entangled in the activity. So when nothing is clear, best to get advice. I'm in this situation. Please help me understand what to do or how to accept it or not accept it. Sadhu Sangha, that's why we have association with devotees. If we don't take association with devotees, we'll find that our devotional service will become very, very difficult. Mm-hmm.
Thank you so much. This is very helpful and making a lot of the answer. I'll have to kind of listen a few times and meditate on the answer, Maharaj, but it gives me some clarity. Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you, Maharaj. John Prabhu, please go ahead.
Hare Krishna Maharaj, please accept my humble obeisances. All glory to Srila Prabhupada.
Jai Ho. Welcome back. Thank you.
Nice to be back. Yeah, I was thinking about this, the state of consciousness at the end of one's life. And when you mentioned the point that you have to be careful about what your last activity is, and where you have to be careful that what your consciousness is, because your last activity could be at any moment. And I'm struggling a little bit with this idea of your state of consciousness at the end of your life. And the idea between the thought that you might have, the sort of literal thought that you might have, and also the state of consciousness that you're in. Is it the literal thought that you have, which means that you transition into something else at the end of death, or is it the overall state that you've had throughout your life in your consciousness?
Well, the overall state you have of your life becomes cumulative, and then it usually has its prominence at the end of life when we know actually we're about to leave or soon we are about to leave. But the idea is to remember Krishna always, and that way you're in the best situation, even at the time of death, and you're ready for whatever is there, because when you remember Krishna, you go to Krishna if you die. Yam yam vapmi sparam bhavam taktva ante kalevaram tam tam ivaite konte sadata bhava bhavitaha. Whatever state of consciousness one has at the time of death, that state they will attain without fail. So it is indicative that one should practice remembering Krishna their whole life, along with serving Krishna, both. And that way you're assured a spiritual destination in your next life. If you have Just like sometimes it's mentioned in the Shastras that when you die, a spiritual airplane will come. This is for those who are being transported to the Vaikuntha realm. So the residents of Vaikuntha will come with an airplane and take you. And you're traveling through all of the universes going back to the spiritual world. If somehow while you're traveling back, you look and you see something in that one of the universes in your travels that you're attracted to, you stop there. You don't make it. So yeah, therefore we have to become ekavata, one-pointed. Become one-pointed in your life and you'll become one-pointed in your death also. Try to connect everything you do to Krishna. Even if you're doing something that is related to the material world, connect it with Krishna or remember Krishna. That way you're always in the best situation to get the highest benefit. Everything depends on consciousness. Consciousness is everything. It's all about consciousness. That's why we say become Krishna conscious. There's so many other forms of consciousness, but Krishna consciousness is pure consciousness, or what we say, that consciousness that will bring us to the perfectional stage. And even when we do our ordinary activities, just connect them, try to remember Krishna, try to offer the activities as a service to Krishna. All of these ways bring us back to Krishna or to the spiritual energy. Or if we remember the spiritual master, if we remember the pure devotees, this is also pure consciousness also.
Okay. Thank you, Maharaj.
Was that clear?
Yeah. Yes, it was very clear. So may I just add something, or?
Yeah.
With the risk of sounding facetious, I really don't mean to be. So what if one is in a state of, serving Krishna throughout their whole life, and then, right at the last second, they think of something trivial, or something out of the ordinary, or, is that work that they've done in Krishna consciousness, is that still considered, or?
Prabhupada commented on that. One girl, she was distributing books, and she said to Srila Prabhupada, I'm out distributing your books, and if I'm to die while I'm distributing books and I forget Krishna at the time of death, what will happen? Prabhupada said, if you're distributing books, in other words, if you're engaged in devotional service, then Krishna will, even if you forget Krishna, in mind still, Krishna will come. Prabhupada said Lord Chaitanya will come personally and take you back to Godhead. So try to, even if the mind is not there, the body can be somehow active in, at least in one form or another. In other words, put something into the fire of bhakti. But if you've been doing the fire of bhakti your whole life, Krishna's not going to say, well, you blew it at the last moment, therefore it's all over. He's not like that. Krishna, he takes the essence. He's Bhava Grahi Janardana. He takes what you want to give rather than what you may give, like that. Just
Right.
like if we're chanting the holy names and we're not chanting clearly. But Krishna will see, oh, they're trying to chant my names, so he will accept that, even though the chanting is not clear. Baba Grihai, he accepts the essence. A little child may not be able to express themselves in their activities, but the mother knows what the child wants to say or wants to do. So she'll see that rather than what the child is actually doing. So Krishna is very kind. He's not a hard guy.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you,
But
Mark.
still, we have to show that we want Krishna. That's the point. That's the main point.
Mm.
I mean, the prayers offered by Gajendra were, weren't so. I mean, he couldn't think of anything for a long time, and then by praying to Krishna, Krishna reminded him within the heart of the prayers that he was offering to him in his previous life.
Mm. Okay. Wow. Okay.
But don't take advantage and think that is a default program that you can use.
Backup plan, insurance.
It'll work if it's unintentional, but if it's intentional, then it won't work.
Okay. Yeah. Hare Krishna.
Okay, thank you.
Hare Krishna. Thank you. Thank you.
Okay, Maharaj. Maharaj, we have some questions on chat. Narshingalila Mataji is asking, Hare Krishna, Maharaj, in the purport we heard about pious and impious deeds. In Shuddha Bhakti Chintamani, I have read about newly formed unwanted habits which appear as a consequence of offenses and mistakes made while practicing devotional service. Could you please shed some light on that? How to know if these newly habits appear because of the offenses, mistakes, or improper association? Thank you.
Doesn't matter how they come, you have to deal with them. They may come from different reasons, but if they're coming, still you have to overcome them. Like you're drowning and you say, well, did somebody push me in the water, or was I swimming and then I started to drown, or did I fall out of an airplane? You're in the water. Don't worry about how you got there. These things may come for different situations. Some people say, is it my karma, or is it something I did wrong? Don't worry about either way. Just deal with the situation as it comes. The cause may never be understood.
Yes, Maharaj. Yeah.
But they can come in a variety of ways, as you mentioned. They can come because of what we say, improper bhakti. Just like there is the thing is called Taranga Rangini. Taranga Rangini means that I'm making advancement in devotional service. And I'm executing devotional service. Now, what's happening, people are starting to honor me. People wanted to associate with me for spiritual benefit. Money is coming, some material gain is coming. Therefore, I'm advanced. But this is called seeing the external as being the internal. And so one may mistakenly think one is advanced simply by all of the benefits that one gets. And one may think I'm not making advancement because I'm undergoing some difficulties. So both of these evaluations can be, and most of the time are, not actually the reason why things are happening in the way they're happening. So just accept whatever's coming and deal with it the way it is. In other words, don't worry about what's the reason. But if you see that you are acting wrongly and these things are coming, then you can connect it in that way. But if you don't see it, don't try to guess. It's like one of my god sisters, she was chanting her rounds, and she's a advanced devotee. But at one point, when she was chanting one day, there was no taste in the chanting. And she was starting to think, I must have did something to cause me not to get the taste. I must have committed some offense or something. So she started to pray to understand what is the reason why there's no taste in her chanting. And then she got a call from her friend who informed her that she had committed offense to this one young child of another lady, because this lady was a teacher. So she had offended the child, although she was in the role of a teacher. And the offense was, a reaction, and therefore she lost her taste for chanting. So only by her praying sincerely that she was given the information. So many times, if you want to find out, you can pray and just wait for the answer. Usually you'll get some indication if you sincerely pray.
Thank you, Maharaj. Thank you so much. We have one more question on chat by Trupti Mataji.
Who?
Trupti Mataji. Trupti.
Oh,
from-
Trupti. Okay.
She is asking, it's a different topic. She is asking Hare Krishna. So one second. So she is asking a question from the Tulsi Mahimamrita by Sarvasakshi Dasa. So there is a book on Srimati Tulsi Maharani. She is mentioning a paragraph. It explained the battle between Lord Shiva and Shankachuda. Says Lord Shiva tossed the demon bones into ocean and they turned to conch shell. Its water and conch is sacred as the holy rivers. It may be offered to demigods. Wherever the conch is blown, Lakshmi dwells there with great delight. It says in the book that, however, if female and Shudra blow the conch, goddess Lakshmi becomes annoyed and out of fear travels to other places.
I read that also.
So she is asking, as I'm blowing conch every day and morning and evening, and Matajis in the temple also blow the conch. So that this mean that it's not Lakshmi Devi will go away, or is any offense making?
I never questioned that, although I read it. So that's as much as I can give you. You have to go to a higher authority on that one. Whether that situation is absolute, whether it refers to any female or circumstances, that will require some explanation. But I read it also in the Tulsi book, yeah. That if when we say a Sudra, or now Sudra refers to the material, because Sudra is one category of materialistic person. And then it says woman or female also. What does it mean? Any woman or devotee woman? What does it actually mean?
So, but Maharaj, when we are doing devotional service, Aarti is part of the devotional service, and blowing conch is also part of the Aarti procedure, right? So
you want me to say something?
no, I was thinking like everyone, obviously, when they are doing Aarti, they blow the conch shell. So that's why even I got the doubt when she asked. Um, so it's recommended by
I read it also,
yeah.
and I used to think about it, but then I never really pursued an answer to that.
Mhm.
At least I never consulted higher authority. But I assume that that refers to women and not necessarily devotee women.
Mhm.
That's the way I see it. Otherwise, it wouldn't go on in the temples as being part of the activity. I think it refers just to women in general, but not devotee women, because when you engage in devotional service, you transcend all of the material considerations.
Yes. Yeah.
But make sure you blow it right.
Yes, Maharaj. Thank you so much.
Sometimes you hold a conch shell with your left hand and you hit it 3 times on the top, and that is considered blowing the conch shell also. But my understanding is that it refers to just women who are not devotees.
Yes, Maharaj. So, Maharaj, is it okay if we go for one more question? Do we have time?
Yeah.
Okay. Mohanasni Radha Mataji, she's asking, Gurudev, how can we bring burned children back to Krishna consciousness when they begin to harbor the conviction that we are a sectarian group? I see many children around who develop this pattern of thinking. Can this be counteracted?
How can we bring back what kind of children?
She said burned children.
Those who are burnt out in Krishna
Yeah.
consciousness. Well, requires some intelligence, requires to know the situation, why they're like that. The person, the situation, the cause. That requires time and energy and personal contact. I would say in general, just take time and talk to the person, but don't so much try to bring them back. Just try to gain their friendship, their confidence. That will gradually allow you to become more effective in bringing in Krishna consciousness. Just like I remember when I was in New Vrindavan, we had not many, some devotees who stopped coming to temples and weren't coming anymore. We had a community living around the main community, many grihastas, and some of them were not coming. So we embarked on a program of going to their house, just meeting them, asking how they were, bringing some prasadam, spending some time with them. That's all. And not saying anything about their not coming. Again, opening up a friendly relationship. That may be the best way to bring about a change.
So talking to the parents first will help, Maharaj. She's asking. Mataji is asking.
Okay.
So, dear devotees, any more questions or comments?
Okay, we got two more.
Aarti.
Arti is also.
Aarti Mataji, you want to go ahead?
Thank you, Mataji. Hare Krishna, Guru Maharaj. Please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to you, all glories to Srila Prabhupada. Guru Maharaj, this question is on behalf of my sister. She is now in Krishna conscious from past few months, and she looks like very serious and reading all the Prabhupada's book. What you are suggesting me, I'm just telling her everything, and she's following everything, and I am the person who's not.
What is the question?
Mataji, you went on mute. Please unmute, Mataji.
Oh, Hare Krishna, Guru Maharaj, Dandra Pranam. Please accept my humble obeisances.
She's following all the things, and then I heard is that much. Then you said you're not following?
I am also following everything, Guru Maharaj, but I am not reading. She is reading everything. She started reading Prabhupada's book, but I get rare chance because of I have to take care of Kanhaiya's. That's why I try to read Guru Maharaj. As you said, I take my sastra to the place, to the workplace, and 10 minutes, 15 minutes, whatever I get time, I chant and read there. So she asked me a question that you ask your Guru Maharaj one question, that she lives in a quarter provided from government, and her quarter is in in the place where there is lots of around there is lots of wildlife like poisonous insects, uh, and there are some birds who brings this fish and drop these fishes to her house, and these insects come to her house and they are poisonous, so she don't want to hurt of them, but she is afraid of if she don't take them out or she don't kill them, they will like bite her or her husband, or they will make a nest in the house, and that will be not good for them. So she was very confused what to do. She don't want to kill them or hurt them, but she's afraid, like, what should I do with this and insects, because they keep on coming in the house.
She's in India?
Yes, Guru Maharaj.
Mm-hmm. She should, I don't know. Sounds like a very ordinary question. What would you do?
I said that unless they don't hurt you, don't do anything. But she was like, if I don't do anything, they will hide somewhere in the toilet or somewhere in the room, and they can bite you without knowing you. So
So I would just make sure they don't come in. That's all.
she tried very best, but still they are coming. I don't know from where they are coming.
What can I say? What can I say? You're living in an environment that is very little difficult to live in. Either you change your environment or you make some arrangements where these insects don't bother you. What else can we say?
Okay, Guru Maharaj, I will just tell her the same thing.
Yeah, it's a practical, ordinary question. Just make some arrangement to protect yourself. But if you do start killing them, then you'll get some reaction, because lower living entities, they are acting according to their nature. Our nature is not to kill. Their nature is to live according to their particular body. So they can't prevent doing what they do. That's the way they are. That is the lower living entities. So either you take precautions or you change your location, something. or you tolerate it. Either one. What else can you say?
Yes, Guru Maharaj, I will tell her the same thing.
Mm.
Thank you so much, Guru Maharaj, for the uh, concept. Uh, uh, but I will tell her.
Yeah, tell her and make some arrangements where they don't come in, you know.
They put a brick on this. There is a sewer at every house, so sometimes the snake come inside. Sometimes the poisonous insects they come inside.
She's living in the wrong environment. That's what I think.
And she love living there. She don't want to live in the apartment
Yeah.
where she is bound. She want to live with the nature.
Well, what can I say? Nature. She can
Uh,
start. She can just keep chanting Hare Krishna, and then they probably will bother her less.
yes, Guru Maharaj. I said her once. I heard in your lecture that one devotee, one god brother asked that how what to do if there are so many animals around, how to liberate them, how to help them in liberation. You said that just keep on chanting loud so that everybody can hear it. I told her the same, and she chant loud so that the birds and the insects, the lizards, there are so many small insects around her. They
sounds sounds like she's living in a swamp or something.
yes, Guru Maharaj, you're right. The area is so big that I cannot survive there. But she lives very happily with all the birds, hearing the sound of the birds, and there are so many dogs, street dogs coming to her house. She's feeding them Mahaprasad and Prasad and chanting to them.
Good. If she can just put, she can take some, some preventative cream and smear it on her body so the insects won't attack her.
Yes, Gurudev, I will tell her the same thing.
There's some real insect sprays that are quite good. You can spray it on your body and the insects won't bother you.
Yes, Gurudev. I will tell her, and I don't know what she will decide to do. I will tell her the same.
All right.
I thank you so
John, you
much,
had a
Guru Maharaj.
question? I think John had one more question.
Hare Krishna, John Prabhu.
Hare Krishna Maharaj. I had a question about Prabhupada's books, because when I read them, I'm overwhelmed, to be honest with you, with how incredible they are, and just how extraordinary the Srimad Bhagavatam is, and I'm just wondering how he did it, how he how he sourced all of this, all of the words of the Bhagavatam. I asked this to one devotee once, and he seemed to be a little bit taken aback, and I didn't mean to cause any disruption or offense, because he seemed to say that there was some difference of opinion about how the Sanskrit was sourced and things like this. But I just was inquisitive, that's all, and wanted to know more. And I was just wondering how was the Sanskrit?
Prabhupada spent 5 or 6 years preparing for his mission in Vrindavan. He was studying the works of the Goswamis. He was also writing his 3-volume set of the first canto. So Prabhupada was preparing for his mission. Of course, he grew up in a Vaishnava family, and he was always surrounded by Vaishnavas. So the additional, you may say, his scholarly acumen was something that he prepared for. Although he was well versed in the Shastra, And still, he fine-tuned it by studying the works of Rupa Goswami, Jiva Goswami, particularly these two. And of course, the works of his spiritual master also. Prabhupada spent 5 years in Vrindavan before he came, living in the Radha Damodar temple. So he did a lot of preparing on a philosophical level, because Jiva Goswami is considered the greatest of all Vaishnav scholars in the history. He wrote over 400,000 verses. Prabhupada was staying at the temple of Jiva Goswami, the Radha Damodar temple. So Prabhupada had access to many of the writings of the Goswamis, previous acharyas also.
Wow. Okay. Wow. Hmm.
And when he was doing his Bhagavatam, he had one particular book, which is still with us. And that book had all of the commentaries of all of the acharyas on the Srimad Bhagavatam, especially Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur. So Prabhupada was reading and studying the previous acharyas and formulating his Krishna conscious purports, particularly and especially in Bhagavatam. Those commentaries now are actually come out in the form of volumes of books now. And there's many commentators. Yagyavalkya, there is Jiva Goswami, there is Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, there is Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati. There are 7 or 8 main commentators on the Srimad Bhagavatam. There is also Sridhar Swami. So Prabhupada studied, read them, and used them as a basis for his Krishna conscious purports. That's why you see sometimes you'll find a purport in a verse, and some verses don't have purports. So the question is why? Well, it's because the previous acharyas didn't give purports on those verses. So Prabhupada honored the previous acharyas by not trying to surpass the previous acharyas, by giving purports on verses that they didn't give purports on.
Right, I see.
That's etiquette also.
Okay.
Prabhupada's spiritual master, Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati, gave a whole commentary on Chaitanya Bhagavat. Prabhupada didn't choose Chaitanya Bhagavat, he chose Chaitanya Charitamrita, because his spiritual master already did commentaries on Chaitanya Bhagavat. But the etiquette is not to try to surpass or, supersede the previous acharyas. There is things called tika. Tika means commentary. You can take the previous acharyas and give a commentary on what they're saying by trying to bring out what they're saying in a broader light. That's called tika.
Right.
Yeah. So that's an authorized form of writing also.
Okay.
Just like we're also writing books, the devotees in ISKCON, we take Prabhupada's books without trying to supersede Prabhupada's books or contradict them. We take the essence of what he's giving us and give our explanation based on our own realizations and in our practice of Krishna consciousness. And that's recommended. Otherwise, everything would stop. No one would write anymore if you just leave what's already done. No. We take it and try to see it from different angles and present it in that way also.
And is it recommended, Maharaj, to look at these other commentaries?
Well, they're available. Vishwanath Chakravarti called Sarat. What is that? Sri Devi Sarati Darshana?
Sarartha Darshini.
Saradarshini, yeah. So that's a commentary on the 10th canto. But Vishwanath Chakravarti did the whole Bhagavatam, not just the 10th canto.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah, you can read them.
Okay.
But you should also read Prabhupada too,
Yeah, okay.
not just the commentators.
Yeah.
Commentaries on the previous acharyas.
Thank you, Maharaj. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
No, I'm just really impressed by by what he's done. Is just incredible. So yeah.
Yeah, the amount of literature in Vaishnav culture is overwhelming.
Yeah.
You could fill storehouses full of books. And more and more books are being produced every day by devotees. Because this knowledge is not static. It's dynamic. That means it's unlimitedly full of meaning. But the essence that we derive is to Bhagavad Gita, Nectar of Devotion. Everyone should read Nectar of Devotion because if you want to know how bhakti works, that's the science in Nectar of Devotion. So 4 books Prabhupada said are the most important. Bhagavad Gita, Srimad Bhagavatam, Chaitanya Charitamrita, and Nectar of Devotion. These 4.
Right.
He said, if you read and study these, you'll have all the knowledge you need and more.
Wow. Okay.
But even if you take one of them, such as Chaitanya Charitamrita or Srimad Bhagavatam, you can have all the knowledge. Prabhupada said it takes 1 month to understand each verse of Srimad Bhagavatam. So there's 18,000 verses. If you times that by 1 month, you get 1,500 years. So if you're really healthy, you might live that long. In other words, Prabhupada was explaining this to one German philosopher. He said, we have enough to read, enough to study. So simply one of these books you can't exhaust, even in a lifetime, what to speak about. All of them. Yeah, this knowledge is deep.
Yeah. Yeah. Definitely. Definitely.
Okay, thank you very much. I'm going to have to say goodbye and see you all tomorrow on the. Can you explain the verse for Harrisburg tomorrow?
Yes. Tomorrow's class is with Harrisburg devotees, and verse is Chaitanya Charitamrita Adi Leela, 5th chapter and 40th verse, 5.40.
It's a little slower. I missed that one.
Sorry. See, Chaitanya Charitamrita Adi Leela, 540, 5th chapter, verse number 40.
Now, certain devotees don't have access to that Zoom link, so can you make it?
They are already in the groups, Maharaj, and I'll share the link to them.
Yeah.
So
John, you have that link for Harrisburg tomorrow?
yeah, I'll share. But Prabhu, I think you are in the group, right? Announcements group.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
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 Sure.
So it's a different link, and password also. So
Okay.
the time is the same, right?
Yes, Maharaj. The time is same, 12 p.m. UK time.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you so much for such a wonderful class and nice discussion. See you all tomorrow again. Srimad
Hari
Bhagavatam
Hari.
ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai.
Ki jai.
Thank you so
Thank
much,
you so
Guru
much,
Maharaj. Hare
Maharaj.
Krishna.
Jai.
Hare Krishna. Guru.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Jai
Thank
Krishna.
you very
Hare
much for the
Krishna.
wonderful lecture.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Guru Maharaj.